most important thing that anybody needs to communicate powerfully is trust. If your audience trusts you, they're going to buy into what you have to say. They're going to be rooting for you. They're going to see your potential. So really what I do at its core is I don't just teach people how to communicate and how to publicly speak. I teach people how to establish and build trust with their audiences, whether it is a group of 1,000 people on a stage, a small group of investors in a pitch, or even a one-on-one conversation.
These are the stories of dreamers who saw a vision, created goals, and turned their dreams into reality. Welcome to the series of Forever a Dreamer, where we share the humble beginnings of dynamic female entrepreneurs and professionals who scale their way to the top by starting small but dreaming big. I am your host, Cheetah Prototype, and welcome to today's show.
Hello, dreamers. It's Cheetah Prototype, and I'm actually back with the new episode of the Forever Dreamer podcast. And today I have a special guest, Abbey Kish. She's the founder and creator of Kish Consulting, where she helps women with communicating properly and knowing how to have that perfect pitch. And I'm excited because as I'm growing Forever a Dreamer for you guys, I want to be able to position myself and put myself in places to where Forever a Dreamer can be pitched to the right people. So without further ado, let's let Abbey come on and talk about who she is and what she does.
Hi, Chi. Thanks so much for having me. Like you said, I run my own company helping women and entrepreneurs learn how to powerfully communicate their ideas. I have been doing this for over 10 years as far as communication, public speaking, putting myself in front of audiences go. And I started business about 6 years ago on the side, just coaching people, and moved to Austin, Texas doing it. And out of all these years of coaching and speaking in front of audiences, I've boiled down that the most important thing that anybody needs to communicate powerfully is trust. If your audience trusts you, they're going to buy into what you have to say. They're going to be rooting for you. They're going to see your potential. So really what I do at its core is I don't just teach people how to communicate and how to publicly speak. I teach people how to establish and build trust with their audiences, whether it is a group of 1,000 people on a stage, a small group of investors in a pitch, or even a one-on-one conversation.
I absolutely love the whole point of what you do because it's so important. I think so many people get afraid when it's time to speak and pitch. And even with me going over elevator pitches with my clients and helping them understand their mission and visions, I see that people have the capacity of offering the product and services,
Right.
But when it's time to actually talk about it, they get kind of stuck. So in that case, what advice can you answer for someone or give to someone who has the products and services, has the talent to do the product or service, but they don't know how to get their point across to their audience?
I usually tell all of my clients that it starts with asking one question, which is, who are you speaking for? I think as business owners, you work day in and day out on your product or service, on your website, on your branding, all of the things that go into building a company, that it's easy to develop something called the curse of knowledge, which means speaking from your own perspective and not speaking for a listener who has never heard about your product or service before. So when I'm working with a new client, I teach them about the concept of selfless communication, which means before you put yourself in front of an audience, ask yourself, who am I talking for? Am I talking for myself just so that I can feel better about my products and services? Or am I speaking because I truly believe that what I have to offer is going to have an impact on these listeners? And if that's my focus, then I can adopt all these tools and strategies that I teach in order to reach my audience to my fullest capability. So my biggest piece of advice is starting with that question of who are you talking for? And if you're talking for yourself or just to hear yourself speak, then you should not be speaking in front of an audience.
And just to piggyback on that, so at what point should a person understand that it's time, or they know that, hey, I need to start preparing, to start pitching, or even, communicating with the people that I'm trying to market and target to in order to turn that into convert that into sales?
Well, I'm a huge believer that no matter what stage of life or business that you're in, that it's always the right time to start preparing. For me personally, learning the tools and strategies to create a pitch or a presentation, a keynote, a workshop, whatever it might be, all of those tools and strategies that go into developing the perfect talk have helped me then in my business and in my relationships. So I've learned how to think critically. I've learned how to prioritize and organize information. I've learned how to tell compelling stories that are valuable in a talk and outside of a talk. So I would tell your listeners that if public speaking and communication is not a priority in their business now, now is the time to start, because as soon as you know how to build trust with your listener, people are going to start seeing your potential and they're going to want to be a part of what you're doing.
So, with that being said, can you talk to the listeners about the process of what that looks like? Because there are so many consultants, especially in business, but you rarely hear about a lot of consultants who focus on helping you with your communication skills,
Yeah.
which are the key to business. It's the lifeline of how business is done and how it's created. So, does those steps look like once you've realized that, hey, I have this product. I know that I can hit 6 figures or 7 figures, and I'm ready to start talking and sharing it with the world?
I think the first step would be to create opportunities to put yourself out there. You don't want to wait until you are pitching that $100,000 idea or whatever it is. You don't want to wait until that opportunity to start learning these skills. So, what I would tell somebody who's listening is find opportunities right now to start developing these skills. So, for example, I've created a program for my clients called the Speak Easy Club. My training program is called Speak Easy, and I've developed a club around it so that once a month, anybody who is interested in improving their public speaking, they can come and they just practice in front of a live audience. And the whole focus is to create a safe and vulnerable space for people to be able to put their thoughts out there and to receive feedback in a way that is going to encourage them to improve. So the first step would be find what that opportunity is, whether it's joining my Speakeasy Club, working with me one-on-one, or even joining a Toastmasters group is a great opportunity to just say, hey, one day, even if it's not now, I'm going to need to put myself out there. And when that time comes, I need to be ready. So find the opportunities to start speaking.
Yeah, and there's so many ways that you can start that process. I know that when I was working in corporate at Lockheed, they actually had a Toastmasters
Yeah.
group within the organization, and we can go there like once a month to connect with them. So I definitely think that that was beneficial for me.
Yeah.
And then now that you just mentioned about the Speak Easy opportunity, I would love to, because I was thinking while riding down a car a few weeks ago, like riding down the street in my car, I was thinking like, wow, I need a place where I can just go and pop up and pitch.
Yeah.
Like pop up and just talk about everything that I've been working on with my pitch deck. How can I
Yeah.
gain the confidence so when I do this pitch competition, it doesn't feel rehearsed. It feels like I'm ready and
Right.
I'm ready to take on the world and also take the money from those investors.
Yes, exactly. Because it's a lot about credibility, right? These investors need to know, hey, this isn't her first time doing this. She's a pro. And sometimes the way that you talk is 100% the thing that you need to convince them that you are ready to take on their money.
Yeah, I absolutely get everything that you're saying. And I think that even with us both being in the coaching world and the fact
Mhm.
that we both have a niche of women,
Yeah.
the things that I find the most that men are so open to talking, expressing their emotions, or expressing themselves when it's time to do business. But
Right.
sometimes women, we have imposter syndrome where
Yeah.
we feel like, hey, are we enough? Is this
Mhm.
what I should be doing? Does my voice sound good enough to be doing this? Or we find everything in the world to come up with before we
Yeah.
say, hey, let's put aside the limiting beliefs and let's focus on where we are now and how we can put our fear aside and start moving on faith and
Absolutely.
action.
Yeah. And that's why I'm so passionate about what I do, because for me, courage and confidence was never an issue going into the business world. And I did not go to college. I went straight into my career right out of high school. And it was never an issue, courage and confidence. And that's not to pat myself on the back, it's to say, that developing these skills all the way back in high school, I started this when I was 12 was the first time I
Wow.
spoke in front of an audience at a competitive debate tournament. And I just developed the skills, to put simply, of having original thoughts, preparing those thoughts, being willing to share those thoughts with somebody else, and knowing how to receive feedback. And you go through a cycle of that over and over and over again, and you become resilient and you become brave. And so, right out of high school, I started brainstorming, what do I want to do? I got hired at an economic research center in Washington, D.C. at as a teenager, straight out of
Wow.
high school with no college education. It was based at a university-based research center. I was the youngest person to ever be hired. I was the only person to ever be hired without a college degree. And I found out after I got there that I was even being paid more than some of the people who had graduated with a college degree. And again, this is not to pat myself on the back at all. I accredit all of that to the fact that I went into an interview with no experience, with a bunch of experienced men in business, and I pitched myself, and I had confidence, and I knew my value and what I had to offer, and I was able to communicate that clearly. And that is so wanted and needed in the workplace.
Yes. Yes.
Women who are brave and courageous and can put themselves out there and aren't afraid of receiving feedback.
I love that. Can you say that one more time? Women who are what? Unafraid. Say that one more time, Abby. Just do it.
Brave, courageous, confident, they're needed in the workplace because there is such a gap in there. And when women speak up, I find that men tend to listen, especially when they speak with such confidence and there's no even hint of imposter syndrome, because we know what our value is, we know what our worth is, we know what we bring to the table, and we know that it is maybe not just as good as everybody else, but hey, if it's not, I'm willing to receive feedback and I'm willing to work through this. So that resilient mindset going into it, I think that there is a huge need for women who have that in the workplace. And I'm passionate about teaching that to women and giving them that courage so that they can know, man, you can go into a boardroom with C-suite executives who are all old white men and you can kick butt. I want every woman in the world to know that and to feel that about themselves.
I love everything that you're saying because it's aligned with what Forever Dreamer is doing with our digital platform.
Mhm.
The whole goal is to help women in business build the confidence needed to shatter the thoughts of the stereotypes of being underrepresented,
Yeah.
undervalued, and underfunded. We
Yeah.
know the reality. We know the statistics of that. The question is, what can we do to bridge the gap and shatter that ceiling to where there is no ceiling anymore, and where we are able to go out into corporate or even in our own businesses and get the contracts, get the funding to
Mhm.
be able to do the unthinkable when it
Yeah.
comes to women pitching their businesses and also pitching themselves to get into CEO roles. Like 5% of women in Fortune 500 companies hold seats in these CEO executive roles. So
Right.
the question is, how can more women build the confidence so that they can pitch themselves and get and raise that number from 5% to
Right.
20%?
Right, exactly. So let's talk briefly about some of the tools specifically that you can do to do that, because it's great to talk about, yes, if only we had the courage or the credibility when we speak. But what are some of the key things that I've developed over the years that I say, hey, if you can adopt these things, you're going to be a powerful communicator. People will trust you. Right off the bat is simple things like filler words, posture, voice, all of those things. They're what I call distractions. When you have a speech that is full of filler words, if you're pitching and you can't get in a sentence without saying like, so, or that's a distraction for your audience. It doesn't mean that you're not intelligent. It doesn't mean that you're not capable of running a business, but it's distracting your audience from focusing on what you are really talking about, your message, your passion, because they're hearing every filler word that you say. So I tell my clients, filler words are easy to eliminate. You just have to focus on them, because all filler words are is your mouth going faster than your brain.
Yeah.
And so you just need to train your mouth to slow down slightly, to let your brain catch up. and then you're going to be able to talk without those filler words. I've worked with clients where we were able to eliminate filler words with 30 minutes to an hour of focused work. And then they were able to go into their talk confidently. And that's just one example, but I think it starts as far as tools go, identifying what are some distractions in the way that I speak. And a distraction can be defined as anything that is forcing the audience to focus on that instead of my message. For example, if my clothes are way too flashy and it doesn't fit the vibe, I am all about self-expression and I am all about fashion and style. But if I'm speaking for the purpose of my listener, and I know that maybe my outfit is going to be a little bit too bold for this scenario, I'm going to tone it down a little bit, because what's most important to me is that they hear my message, not that they have an opinion on my outfit, if that makes sense. So I teach a lot of my clients of specifically identifying where are distractions. How can we eliminate those distractions? And then once we do, here comes the fun part of identifying what your unique strength is and what you bring to the table. An example of that is I am extremely extroverted. I am loud. I can fill a room with my personality. So as soon as I eliminate all the distractions, I am leaning into that. I'm leaning into my personality and my authenticity, and I am letting that take over, because that's a strength that is specific to me. And that's why this is maybe a side tangent, but I think that there's a huge demand for people to develop strong communication skills, because that's one thing that AI is never going to be able to do for us. They're never going to have their own unique strengths as a human that they can bring to the table in every unique scenario.
Yes.
So it all comes down to those two things: eliminating distractions and then building on your strengths.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. So listeners, we're actually about to take a brief break for our sponsor, and then we're going to come back, and Abbey is going to talk a little bit more about her coaching services and her products, and just to give you guys a little bit more in depth on how you can work with her. So after the break, we'll be back.
Awesome.
If you work for yourself, you really need to get HoneyBook.
What's HoneyBook?
It's the all-in-one client management platform that all independent professionals can count on.
Oh, so what can HoneyBook do?
How about everything you need to organize your business?
Everything?
Yes.
Can it manage client invoices?
Yep.
Proposals?
Mm-hmm.
Contracts?
Payments?
Yes and yes.
Scheduling.
HoneyBook does that too.
Can it teach me Spanish?
Can it teach me how to cook?
Can it walk my dog?
What? No.
Oh.
But it will save you time.
Really?
Absolutely. Whatever you do, HoneyBook has all the tools to get it done. Start your free trial at honeybook.com.
Hello, dreamers. We're back from the break. And as I mentioned before the break, Abbey is going to talk more about her services and what she offers, and also how you can work with her if you feel that you are that person that needs help with developing your pitch for your professional career, or even for you as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely. So my business is called Kish Consulting, and it focuses on everything from how to present yourself from an audience of 1 to thousands, whatever it might be. I work a lot with one-on-one clients. So one of the services that I offer, if you're in a place financially where you're like, hey, I see the value in this. I want to lean all the way in and get this done. I do one-on-one coaching on a monthly basis. And to start, it's just a 3-month commitment, because I truly believe that you can't really see much improvement in this area in just a month. So we work together for 3 months, and that is doing assessments where I help you identify where are your opportunities for improvement and what are some of your strengths. And then I help you and guide you eliminate all of those distractions that you might have with your audience. And then probably what I am most excited about is my Speakeasy Training Club, this is the curriculum for it right here. I just launched this actually at the beginning of April. So it is brand new. And it's super exciting. And it's a 6-lesson program that takes you through step by step. How do you create a presentation? And I think that it's valuable for anybody to go through the steps to learn how to create a presentation. Because like I said earlier, those are transferable skills that you're going to see in your relationships, in your business, and even who you are as an individual. And that's a focus that I have in this training program is I go through the steps, but then in every lesson, you're going to hear me give a real world application. So we're not just going to talk about how do you research for a presentation. I'm going to go and tell you about all the great things that have happened in my life because I've learned how to research for a presentation. So that's a 6-lesson program. Along with it comes 6 video trainings that you watch ahead of time, and you'll have homework from those. The workbook that I'll print out and hand to you so that you can work through all of that. And then once a week, we have a live training call where really the purpose of this is just to review the homework, review the lesson, and then chat and discuss about where we're at, any questions we have. You also get a 30-minute assessment with me before you even begin. So I can tell you going into this program, this is what I think you should focus on. For example, I've got 2 different clients. One of them, we're focusing on developing a 45-minute keynote for her. And another one, we're just focusing on coming up with a 2-minute value talk where she can talk about herself and what she has to offer. So I want to make sure that everybody going through this program has specific goals, and I'm helping them achieve those specific goals. And then along those lines, you have 2 one-hour coaching sessions directly with me as well, because I don't want you leaving this program without reaching those goals that you have. So I would say that that is the best place to start. That is a great, and it also gives you a membership to the Speakeasy Club. So to help improve your skills. But I would say that that's the greatest place to start, because if you don't know much about communication or how to create a talk, that is the crash course on all of it. And it gives you a great foundation to keep building skills.
I absolutely love it. I love how you broke it down. I also love the value that the person will be getting from the actual Speakeasy class, because now it will allow you to not only get pre-recorded content, meet with you live on a weekly basis, but also having access into a community.
Absolutely.
So I think I really applaud you, especially as a female entrepreneur, on taking the chances and taking what you have, your talents, your skills, and putting it into a program that can empower and impact other women or other business individuals on their journey to being successful. Like, my goal is how can I get into a TEDx talk? How can I, I aspire to do that. And hearing that you are already helping women, it gives me more, I want to say, motivation to be able to carry that out and not fall short on my dreams, but keep pushing towards them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we could get you there, girl, 100%. And a part of what I've learned over the years too, is that putting yourself out there as a speaker is not just about learning the tools to be a speaker, but also the success aspect of being a speaker. So how do I record content to get people interested in what I have to say? How do I reach out and ask people? If you remember, when I reached out to you, I sent you a video message and I said, hey, we should chat because we have a great fit. And I teach my clients how to record videos like that and how to have the boldness to just send a message and to just make an ask of, hey, I think I would be a good fit for your opportunity. So there's so much to go around there. And if I could just give one word of encouragement to any business owner, but specifically the female run ones, is do the dang thing. Whatever it is that you have had a dream of yours, like, put it out there, because I have been developing these skills for 10 years. And I just launched this training program in April. And it's the greatest thing that I have ever done for myself personally, because I put in the work. I put everything that I have in my head onto paper, into video trainings. And I've now made it accessible to share what I feel like is so valuable to my life with other people. And it's just been the greatest thing ever to put that together. So if you're ever considered like doing the same thing or creating content or a program, whatever it is, like, this is your sign to just go do it, because it is possible and it's incredible to experience.
Yes. And our motto here at Forever a Dreamer is to start small, but dream big.
Yeah.
Putting the action into it now, jotting, making notes, brainstorming, brain mapping, doing whatever it takes now could really take off in baby steps and be something so monumental. So Abby, I really want to thank you for coming on to the episode and sharing those dynamic tools on how to help women in business communicate efficiently, effectively, and being able to be confident enough. Like, Just with those little words that I just messed up, it could have stopped me and really put me in a situation where I don't want to talk anymore, or I don't think I should be a speaker. But I understand that in order to move past and walk into your real passion and purpose, you have to keep moving.
You do. Yeah. And you have to know that people are rooting for you. I tell my clients all the time who are so afraid to put themselves in front of an audience, no matter what scenario you're in, your audience is rooting for you. Nobody wants these investors who are going to be watching your pitches. They're not hoping that you fail. They're not hoping that you trip over your words. They are sitting there on the edge of their seats, hoping that you do the best that you are able to do. So the way I think about it when I talk in front of an audience is that they're my team. They're part of this process with me because I have something important to say. I have a mission that I am on, and them in the audience, they're a part of that. And they're just team members. It's a teamwork process. And I teach people that that's how you get over your nerves, to think of them not as somebody that you got to impress, but somebody that's rooting for you and they want to see you succeed.
Well, I absolutely love everything that you've said. And with that being said, how can the dreamers follow you? How can they connect with you? How can they learn more about the speakeasy opportunities to where they can take their dreams of speaking on major stages and starting small, just with the small coaching sessions or the help that you will be able to provide them?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on my website, which is abbeykish.com. And on social media, I am at Kish Speaks. And that's both on Instagram and TikTok. So on TikTok, I've been coming up with a bunch of videos on just, 60-second clips of here's one tip today of how to be a successful speaker. So if anything, you just want to improve bit by bit, follow me on Instagram and TikTok. But if you're interested in chatting more, I am always game to do a free assessment with you to just see where it is to start. So go to abbeykish.com, fill out the contact form, and we'll at least start with a conversation of what value I might be able to provide for you.
I absolutely love it. Dreamers, thank you so much for tuning in today on this new episode with Abbey. And I can't wait for you guys to connect with her. And as we bring it to the end of this episode, we want to thank Abbey for coming on this episode and sharing all her gems and all of her experiences so that she can motivate us to put our fear aside and honestly start speaking up for ourselves. Speaking easy, the dreams of speaking easy. That's the podcast episode. I literally just came up with it just now because I mean, it makes sense. We have to start putting the action towards speaking, communicating, and being able to effectively reach out to our target audience. Like so many times we find ourselves not posting content because we don't like the way we speak. We don't like the way that the content may look or the way we may look on video. But at this point, we can't have those as barriers anymore. Let's put the fear aside. Let's put the limiting beliefs aside. Let's put the excuses aside so that we can really start using our voice to get into the rooms that we want to be in.
People are waiting for your message.
Yes. So thank you again, Abbey. We really appreciate you. And we're glad that you are part of the Dreamer community now.
Of course.
And we can't wait to hear from you more and do more business with you.
Yeah. Thanks, Chi.
Thank you. Thank you, Dreamers. Have a great rest of your day.